What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Hello, welcome back here to the official Beacon Circuit event we have here at EPIC36. My name is John P. Joined for the very first time as a casting duo with the one and only B-Dog. How you doing, my friend?
That's true, yeah. I had actually jumped on Lathan together. So, yeah, this will be a great experience for both of us. And, yeah, I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I know you're usually across the darker side of the FPS industry.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
So I'm looking forward to having you here for some Valorant. We actually saw one of your casting duos, right, Freddie, earlier on?
Yeah.
Fun fact: we need an actual Pritchard off, I think, because it was actually showing because we was actually meant to do a different event, us three together.
We were,
and we was like, do we have the same surname? And then we're like, wait, are we actually related somehow? And then it's all right. We used Ancestry.com. We're not related in any way. It's not what we think of. But let's talk a little bit about this next upcoming matchup. We've seen some fantastic games thus far already in the Valorant circuit for the Beacon circuit. We have got Gladius up against Eco Esports for you on stream. Two teams that are, quite evenly based when it comes to if you match player for player.
Yeah. Look, we're kind of having a little bit of a chat just before we were getting things going. It's like EKO, they've got some really talented individuals. Yeah. Roster kind of not been established for the longest time, for too long, so we're just kind of really using kind of the Beacon circuit as more of an acid test for them to see kind of where they match up against the best. Gladius, look, they've won already on stream earlier today as well, and hoping they can repeat the same success.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look on the side of Gladius, for example, the likes of Mercedes Peak looked pretty damn decent earlier on today. Mike did struggle a little bit, however, he was sort of playing that duelist role. We saw him running Raze, I think it was, on a scent at one point, where he was sort of being the bait for his squad, to be totally honest with you. He was playing that hyper-aggressive role where he was really pushing out lanes and just getting the information needed and cutting off sort of the exit angles. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see how things fare on. But yourself, I know you've not casted the most amount of Valorant in your life, but what maps in particular have took your fancy when you've jumped on board? All
right, well, look, I've played a little bit of it. I'm not a complete novice, but I like the idea of having a free bomb site map. That's quite interesting to me. Ascent, that kind of is more linear for me. I think that the wide open maps, whilst they got potential for a lot of like tactical elements such as your breezes, for me that's a bit scary. The long range engagements, that's not for me.
It's the likes of Breeze, for example, we put Fracture in there, and sometimes even the likes of Haven, which is a bit of a non-traditional three bomb sided map. They're very, very heavy team reliant and strat reliant maps. You've got to put in the groundwork and put in the hard work prior to the event and in your practice scrims in order to be a very good team on it, just because of how big and how diverse those maps are. I mean, we talk about Fracture as a map where it's the only map, I think, in Valorant, or it is the only map in Valorant, I know that for a fact, that you can start on a different side of the map and split across the map. So that makes your life as defenders a lot more harder, because you've got to maybe look at 4 lanes in opposed to where you'd have to only really look at 2 lanes on a traditional bomb-sited map. So who knows? I don't think we've actually yet to see Fracture on the stream, but it would be it would be a bit of a sod's law, wouldn't it, that the first time you jump on Valorant, you get Fracture.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a trial by fire. And also, I guess, when you're talking about that, where the split roles, I guess that also really feeds into the agent composition, because you have to split your utility and your resources just evenly across that map to be able to defend it.
Yeah, well, I mean, coming into this one, I would say I've not had a chance to see Eco's, or EKO, however you want to say its actual map pool selection. I saw them playing earlier today. I think they played a Bind and an Ascent today. So those are very traditional Valorant maps. You kind of expect those in, especially this best of 1 format. It's usually the likes of Ascent, Bind, and Icebox that are your go-to maps, just because they're pretty much the box standard.
Yeah. I mean, Icebox, they've had the changes. I guess it's not recent, but obviously, like in the most recent update, they have the adjustments to the bomb site, and that's made that just kind of wide open for new strategies to be implemented as well. How's that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the new reworks to Icebox, me personally. Like you mentioned, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head in terms of sort of execute potential, post-plant potential as well, in terms of you've now got sort of that close cubby cut out in towards where Nest and where the rope would be. You've now got a lot longer yellow container or yellow box to work with as well. And it swings and roundabouts, it really is. Those new map changes can either help the defensive side of things, or they can really swing in favor of the attackers, and you can gain more control over those bomb sites. We actually saw an Icebox earlier on. It was the Rix versus CSGG game, which was an absolute banger of a match. If you've only just tuned in, you've absolutely that was an absolute banger. If you've missed it, if you've only just tuned in, you go back to the VOD and rewatch it. Honestly, it was crazy. But we are having a few issues, I think, in the game. So unfortunately, the eagerly awaited debut duo-ship of Brandon and John has to wait ever so slightly a little bit long, but we're not going to complain. We can run off to the side and grab some of our pizza that we've been dying to eat for the past few hours. So don't go anywhere. Myself and Brandon will be back after a very, very short break here with some more Valorant action in the Beacon circuit at EPIC36.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Valorant at Epic Land. My name is Brandon, aka B-Dog, and joining me is John P. John, how are you doing?
I'm excited, man. We're getting towards the final stages of the best of ones. The best of threes are, I don't know, I mean, there's a beautiful horizon out there just out the window, but I think I can see some best of threes coming over the hill somewhere as well. I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, look, it's going to be a good game as well. We got a little bit confused a bit earlier on. We're actually going to have Legates versus Pink Fluffy Unicorns, and well, you've kind of briefed me a little bit. You said that both of these teams are just kind of mixing a little bit as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, Legates are they're more of an actual team in comparison to a mix. That's a bit of an error on my behalf. I thought we were seeing Pink Fluffy Unicorns playing someone else. But yeah, the side of Legates, they've been putting in some work for sure. I mean, across the board, they got the likes of Nugget, Kevo, Maverick as well. I've seen them play already thus far throughout the weekend. They look. They don't set the world on fire, but they don't look awful at the same time. Yeah. So they're definitely here. Playing against a good mix of Pink Fluffy Unicorns, though. They've got the likes of Lear, for example. They've got Transformer. They've got King Hass. It's going to be Pooh Muncher 2014. Nice. I'm not too sure what the name of that actual player playing is. I'll have to try and get confirmation. And they've got Sharky on their team as well, of course. Hassan Lear used to be a part of that former Vexed gaming lineup. Since then, Lear sort of pushed on into high-level Valorant and played for a few pro teams as well. So we have to wait and see how these things unfold. But we are going to see a Breeze, though.
Okay.
Brandon. It's a map. You said a little earlier on, you were like, "Don't give me Breeze."
Yeah, no. Look, it's fine. Look, it's why we're here. Yeah. Trial by fire. Look, you said as well. I remember you were like, "Okay, Breeze. If a team has picked this, that means they're going to have to come prepared." So. Well, I'd say more so for Legates, you're just talking about the caliber of Pink Fluffy Unicorns. Legates will have to come prepared here on Breeze.
Yeah, 100%. I think they wouldn't have left it in the map pool if they wasn't comfortable in it. Again, in comparison to the two teams, one is a team that are obviously going to be playing together for a while in comparison to a mix of the likes of Pink Fluffy Unicorns. So Legates must be, of course, like you said, put the hard work in and put the prep into it, because it's a map that we saw earlier on when the Goose House were playing on it. I can't remember who they were playing against. It might have been against Gladius, actually, I think, where they're a team that have been pracking for a while, but even they had issues on a map like Breeze just because of how big, long-winded, flanky, and janky this map can be. But let's head into Agent Select.
Okay, let's take a look at it. We've got some hovers already. Looks like King Haz will be picking up the chamber. Got long-range encounter. You got Transformer on that jet, and Pooh Muncher 2014 on the Sova. Yeah,
we're going to try and get confirmation as to who that player actually is.
Yeah, let's not call him that during the cast.
Yeah, when he gets a pentakill or something like that, and we're like, oh, Pooh, doo-dooing all over people, right? And that has been a bit of an issue, but I think we've actually got, speaking of issues, an issue with the lobby. Listen, it's esports, all right? It happens.
Of course it does.
Sharky, unfortunately, his PC and game has crashed, so we'll try and get that back up and running. But now we know about Breeze. Now we know that we are playing on Breeze. Let's talk a little bit more about the map. Yourself, what do you think, sort of the pros and cons, as somewhat of a newcomer to Valorant?
All right, I like this. All right, so obviously, we've got the obvious one where you've got these really long-range encounters. That means that some of this utility, sort of like we saw a KO being selected as well. Area denial, especially with his knife, would be quite essential because he can just immediately just lock off agents from placing utility on key areas of the map.
Yeah, I think definitely. And one sort of area and key battle that I always highlight on Breeze, whether you're a defensive-sided team or an offensive-sided team, is the middle of the map. Yeah. It's the biggest part on the map, you could say, and it's also one of the avenues and doors to success on a map like Breeze, just due to the fact that it cuts off the rotation paths. The rotation from what would be sort of A arches or A tunnels over towards double doors on the A and B sites. That rotation between B and A, it can be so fast through the middle of the map, in opposed to having to wrap all the way back through arches towards CT to come out towards bridge, or to fly all the way around through T-spawn and in that way. So I would like to see whoever starts on the defensive team here, which looks like it is going to be Pink Fluffy Unicorns, try and really, dominate the middle of that map and win that middle of the map battle, because they're going to be playing against Smile, who looks like he's going to be playing the Neon by the sounds of it. And having Neon on a Breeze, you'll be surprised how much work the Neon can get done just by breaking those line of sight so quickly and getting behind you.
Yeah, it's interesting as well. Just having a look at the rest of the compositions as well. You've got the Viper walls. That's going to be a big factor in just completely limiting the area of space that people can operate in. You can get the ultimates down, especially over towards that A side of the map. I see it quite typically being used, and just really denying. You got the snake bites as well, where there's some funky lineups you can do on both A bomb site and B bomb site, and I'm not really too sure how much of an effect that could really come into play, just coming in the late round.
I mean, I think, you know, usually on the map like Breeze, we'll see a Sova come into play. We sometimes do see the double setup with KO as well, because it will just give you, like you said, you think you hit the nail on the head in terms of using that knife or the recon dart to get so much information early on and sort of gain aerial control and aerial presence like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised I'm not seeing the likes of Lear on the Jet, for example. I mean, I think the issue that the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns have got, they've got two very, very, you know, frag-heavy players and sort of Jet duelist mains in Chanformer and Lear. I actually saw Lear playing Phoenix earlier, which I don't think unless you're talking about, like, the Korean and Japanese sort of circuit of Valorant, we never, ever see Phoenixes come into team comps.
Even I know, like, Phoenix is not really a common one to see.
Yeah, it will be it'll be definitely safe to say to see whether or not we we see some more Phoenix come out to set the world on fire at least later on. But let's head into this finally. Brandon, we've denied the world of this duo ship for long enough. It's time to finally get into what is going to be our final best of one here in the group stages. So this is a game that actually we'll have to try and pull up the groups at some point to see whether or not this is going to be deciding whether or not people head to a bit of a better seeding or not.
Yeah, look, I want to pick your brains one last time just before we do get into this pistol round, right? We're talking about differences in the agent competitions. I want to talk to you about this Sky pick versus the KO. What's the benefit of Legates picking Sky here?
I personally am a Sky main on the majority of the maps, but in particular Breeze. The util usage on Sky is so useful. Okay, yeah, you've got to forfeit the long-range advantage of the 0 point, for example, the knife that instantly comes straight out from KO. You've got to use the Scout and the Dog a little bit, or Wolf, should I say, if you want to be technical. For the Sky, it takes a little bit longer to come out, but those flashes are so useful on the Sky to curve around corners. There are a lot of tight angles and, like you said, long, windy lanes on the likes of Breeze. So I personally prefer the Sky pick. However, if you were to look at the way high-level teams play and what sort of is heavy meta at the moment, a lot of people tend to steer towards the KO because of that knife. And, you know, the pop flash on the KO is pretty much, you know, you could say sort of is based off other FPS games as well, like in terms of like games that you'll be familiar with, for example, to just pop flash a corner and swing round. But yeah, I mean, I like the Sky pick a lot. I think on a map like Breeze, the ult's a little bit probably more useful than the KO null because the sights are so big on Breeze that you could be sat backside, still get 3 kills and not even really get hit by the null. Whereas if you get spotted by a Seeker, that's your position like, almost instantaneously revealed.
Okay, well, look, we've got, once again, just a little bit of a pause, just coming into things, just going to get things set up. But we can see on the mini-map as well, just on the left-hand side of your screen, that Legates right now, they are grouping up more towards this B-bomb site. It looks like it is currently being reinforced by the duo of Chanformer and King Has, which is a quite formidable and scary prospect that they might be just really running into. Rendezvous already being put down, so King Has can get out of dodge really quick and as soon as he sees contact. Yeah, and that's what sort of... It's a point I actually made with Jay earlier on, why I think Chamber has been needed in Valorant for so long, because it adds a different dynamic of sort of fast-paced play with a bit more of a slower-paced agent type, which is a Sentinel. Usually Sentinels will set up behind the likes of a Killjoy turret or behind the trap wires of a Cypher, you know, unless you've got any of you Grim or Flow Wall nerds out there that will play behind some crazy, insane barrier walls for the Sage. You know, that's why this Chamber, with the Rendezvous TP, you can almost use it as a second duelist, for example. That's why we often see, you know, a really aggressive, fast-paced duelist, the likes of a Jet or a Neon, paired with the Chamber. Because, you know, if you miss the first shot with one of them, you get a second bite at the cherry with the Rendezvous as well. It'd be interesting as well to see how much we're talking about heals, we're talking about walls. Sage has not come into play, but obviously you've got the Sky heal as well. It'd be interesting to see whether that will be coming to fruition. You're talking about the likes of aggressiveness and towards the Chamber and the Neon pushing on this Legate side, and well, it'd be interesting to see whether the Sky can actually just catch up with them as well. Yeah, one agent I think you also, if we're just on the topic of agents, I think it's important to talk about is the fact that you will never see a game of Breeze be played without a Viper. Yeah, of course. The other controllers and smoke characters are non-existent when it comes to Breeze. We've seen a few people trial out the likes of Brimstone when the changes come into play. The same with Omen when the new TP times come through. Viper, though,
just is so good on this map. You can lock down, you know, the default walls usually are to cut off towards mid, cut off B site. They either put it straight across A when you're executing. It's so many different sort of potential you can have with that. But we spoke about the group stages quickly that are going to be starting. Obviously, this is the final game in the groups, and we're going to be heading into best of threes and bracket play. These two teams are currently tied at 3 wins, 3 losses.
Okay.
So we mentioned, is this going to be a bit of a seeding game? It is, because the person who wins this game will finish 4th in the group, and they will have a lot more favourable draw later on down the line than the people who lose it, because they'll be finishing 5th and they'll be into what you would say sort of the not the losers bracket side of things, but the worst seed side of things. So this is a big thing, but I think we finally got the golden R's in the chat here, Brandon. I said they denied us of this opportunity for too long. We are now live in the flesh. That is correct, Mr. Chanformer. As here we go. It's the side of Legates versus Pink Fluffy Unicorns, and we're heading to Breeze.
Looks like the Gates just trying to work their way all the way up. The King has. He's already just completely neutralized the Neon. That's why the duel is eliminated on the same side of things. The Ghost of Sky takes down Chanformer, so duel is eliminated early here.
Yeah, but the key thing I'd say though is King Hassel on that chamber has stayed alive. The Ghost in his hand as well, and that's again the rendezvous TP is so useful. But look at how aggressive Lear's got already here, up in towards window. Sharky's going to drop Nugget, and all of a sudden it's going to be Legates who are left in a 2 versus 3, maybe get a 1 versus 3. So all of a sudden it's all up to Maverick. No doubt that recon dart will come straight out and reveal his location sooner rather than later. And well, there it is. They've got the info as to where he is. Lear should come behind him and clean it up if Haas doesn't do so already. And just like that, shaky shots from Haas, but the triple comes through first on the board here for the Fluffy Unicorns.
Yeah, Headhunter couldn't really find the mark there, especially when you're being just completely ran down. So important, you highlighted it already. Lear just flanking immediately, getting in towards the window. Spike can't even be planted, so money doesn't really go down in that case. Afterplant can't really take shape, and it just felt like the Gates were feeling a little bit suffocated. They got pincered on all angles on towards that bomb site. It was really uncomfortable for them.
And the reason why that sort of flank lane opened up for Lear early on was because the first pick was actually found from the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns, and it was actually Maverick who fell. You know, it was Maverick who dropped, therefore the trademark was offline. But here come the side of Legates once more, but guess what? They're met by the Marshal of Sharky to find the first, can't find any more as Maverick's going to drop. There we go, finally. Mine is going to go ahead and fall to the Marshal. Sharky dancing with the devil, to say the least, trying to stay alive. He does fall, but Lear's there to trade. And we are now in the 2 versus 3. Guns have been recycled, and guess what? It's a Marshal in Nugget's hand. Although he finds the first, Haas and Lear are there, the dynamic duo that once were a part of X Gaming. They know how to play around each other, and guess what? It's the second on the board. Straight like that for the Pink Fluff Unicorns.
Yeah, it just felt like, look, they're trying to use the Neon Wall just to get in early, try and plant that spike, give themselves just an alley, an opportunity to plant on that bomb site, but the Marshal of the Viper was just holding it down so firm. Staying alive, importantly, at the back of the bomb site. Rotations can just come in, and it's just a simple cleanup job. Gets a little bit scary, lose a lot more agents than they probably were hoping for, but at the end of the day, they still get consecutive rounds on the board.
Yeah, well, now what we're going to do right here is head into what we call the bonus round over at Valorant, where it's pretty much a throwaway round for the team that won the first 2, because the side of Legates, they're now going to pick up the full buy with the Vandals or Phantoms, whatever they choose on a map like Breeze, though. Definitely going to be swinging towards the Vandals. Can't afford to be dinking any people with a tag of a headshot, and it's all up to the Spectres left alive for the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns. But these close quarter angles, though, they can do damage, but so can the Marshal in the hands of Sharky as he finds the headshot. Chanformer's there to find Nugget, and all of a sudden the side of Legates, they're dropping like flies here, and it's all up to Maverick and the Sova left alive. But there goes Mini, and all of a sudden 3-0 bonus round win on a map like Breeze for the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns, and it's safe to say they're in Dreamland.
Yeah, and they can just pick up all of the Vandals as well, so they don't even need to just really reinvest their credits, right? Because they can just drop the bonus weapons. You said, okay, it's more of a throwaway round. It's not supposed to be this way, but the gunfights are just so favourable, and you can kind of just see maybe the disparity. You're talking about the individual shining. King has yet to fall 6-0 early on with the chamber, playing so aggressive, and it's just working out wonderfully.
Yeah, and you know, has this tendency to, you know what, I love Haas, he's a great guy, I've known him for a long time, he's given me advice on casting and analytical work, I've given him advice on the way to play the game, but Smile, going to be flying his way onto the site, finally using that Neon to the best of their abilities, going to find the first two, but guess what, there's the Sova to shut down shop, it's Maverick who falls, 3 versus 3.
Aldrone being used in for information, oh the ultimate Sky's been used as well, that's information given up that Legates can use, but Lear will still find the headshot. Sova combining, but Smile is on for the ace. Potentially a full house on the cards, but instead it will be taken away by the Marshal. Nevertheless, it is a thrifty round on the board, and whilst they did lose that bonus, they bounce right back with one of their own.
Yeah, they'll be upset, though, the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns, that they've lost that round. It was, you know, a little bit of delusional confidence, you could say, from Smile to just fly his way onto the site with the Sheriff, but when you're that good, you find the headshots, and now he's actually got the overdrive available going into this round should you want to pop it. Not only do you get that speed boost, you also get a lightning bolt that shoots out of your fingertips, and that thing does damage, Brandon, let me tell you right now. But for the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns, they have got the buy available, Tour de Force invested already from Haas himself. But look at that from Smile. Legates, they finally done what I said. They need to get that mid-map presence. They need to get control in the middle of the map, and they're found in some avenues of success.
Finally starting to see some of it. Sova dart for Pink Fluffy Unicorns. Won't actually be deployed. Instead, it's going to be the Aldrone ultimate used by Sharky just to try and hem these players in on the B bomb site. But in fact, Legates are just going to completely circumnavigate it. Smile just runs completely past the ultimate. The Viper's Pit not going to come into full effect, even get stunned out. There's a lot of ultimates being used all across the server. Nugget will deny it. In fact, Legates, they'll just completely turn this on its head. They're right back in this.
Yeah, 2 for 2. Back-to-back rounds for the side of Legates. That should, I would say, force an eco out of the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns, but fortunately Transformers eco's built up, so is the rest of the squads from winning the first 3. And this becomes that sort of middle round where, you know, either team lose 1 or 2 rounds back-to-back from here on out. That's when the economy will start to break. You've got the ult economy starting to build ever so slightly on the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns. You've got Lear 1 away from the null, the Bladestorm nearly online for Transformer, and not to mention that Hunter's Fury just 2 off here for the Sova. But look at the aggression here already towards the middle of the map with that Operator. It's op for op. Maverick versus Chan. Maverick's better.
Yeah, we'll get the opening kill for Legates, and they got good information that the Sova was lurking here. Minch and Smile just using their utility. Blinded Light just being thrown on in. Sharky just tucking in around these close corners. Doesn't want to get overwhelmed. So Viper and Viper duel here. It's going to be very dangerous, and in fact, Legates just completely collapse upon it.
Yeah, I'm loving the mid presence as well from Legates. It's something that I mentioned and I highlight all the time with Breeze. As soon as you get control of that middle of the map, this is the positions here that you want to see a player from Legates get into. Usually we'd probably see the likes of a Neon or a Jet get into that position, but the fact you've got your Sova so advanced far up the map, it gives you so much control. If you're executing towards that B site and you can get in towards Nest and in towards Tube and really control the whole CT side of the map, it's almost impossible for them to retake because they'd be forced to go through narrow, you know, sort of one-way angles, the likes of Arches, the likes of B main, for example, and then from there it's just easy pickings for players like of this caliber, for example. So we'll have to wait and see if the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns could adapt to it. They are going to be forced down to a bit of a poor buy now, but is the Bladestorm invested?
Overdrive can still come in for Smile as well. Mid-control being gathered time and time again by Legates. Aldrone being deployed. Doesn't actually tag one, but we'll spot out a couple of them. It's just going to be just these upgraded pistols. A Sheriff and a few Marshals going up against the full investment.
It's a tough spot that the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns really find themselves in. I mean, especially again with how much mid presence. It's hard to say how you sort of really counter this. I mean, is there anything that you would do if you was the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns, for example? Would you dedicate a player towards mid, for example?
Yeah, I think it's actually a very important thing to consider. You can see a couple of times the Aldrone. Hang on a second, we can get back to that because the Bladestorm is out, but it only goes 1-for-1, immediate trade out. Sheriff will strike on the Sova, but he's been brought down low. Hunter's Fury available should it be required, but Smile, the pace change of that Neon is absolutely potent. Headhunter is in though for King Has, and he actually doubles up as well. It's Maverick just left alone in this 1 versus 2. Headhunter's ringing out, but he runs out of bullets, just going to be equipped with a classic, but he's running out of time. There's only 10 seconds left.
Yeah, but this is okay because it doesn't matter because Sharky's there anyway, so that's great stuff from Hass. He goes headhunting, and he does just that. If I'm the side of Legates, though, I'm continuing to attack this middle of the map, just plainly due to the fact that Pink Fluffy Unicorns, they're not dedicated one person there. We saw it earlier on in that TGH Gladius game where they actually ended up sending one person to counter Marky's aggression, and it was the Chamber who put one trap in towards mid doors and one trap out towards Archway, and that just sort of shut down any extra aggression towards the middle of the map. And I think the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns could try and take a page out of TGH's book on Breeze or two, because they seem to be struggling to adapt to what Legates are doing right now, but it doesn't matter because they have got the narrow round advantage.
Just go straight for it, but Sharky will actually answer to Smile early on, and it looks like Minch will just immediately double up as well. So it's still one agent advantage on the side of Legates at the very least, which is a good sign for them. It's interesting battle that we're seeing in towards middle. You can see that Pink Fluffy Unicorns are electing more for a utility-heavy style approach rather than just sending agents in. And I completely agree with what you're saying. I think they need to just actually have the gunfights in middle and really deny the map control, make it a little bit more uncomfortable. We are seeing it here, though. This is a bit in the adjustment. KO rotated in towards the elbow, trying to find an opening.
Yeah, but look already, though, you've allowed the KO to rotate over there, but that's just costly positioning on the other side of the site because now the Sova's wrapped off of A. Guess what? Maverick's chilling. He's doing the Macarena, the cha-cha slide, whatever it may be to suit yourself on a Friday night. He's got complete control over that A site with the operator in hand, the rendezvous to work with to get himself off a site. There goes the Viper's Pit. And that minor adjustment, though, has now cost the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns potentially the round.
It's a nice, just reactive play from Legates. They recognise the presence and the fact that they're sending more map control to deal with this middle that's been so potent for them in the early stages of this game. So the reaction is just to rotate to the other side of the map, and well, it works out wonderfully. Using the Viper's ultimate as well, completely blocking off the site, it just makes it that little bit more difficult for the retake to come in. And well, it feels like right now the Gates have really figured out the defense.
Yeah, it seems like they're on the verge of potentially opening the floodgates, you could say, at the moment, as although it is only 4 rounds apiece. You know, the game, I would say, has been a bit more close for comfort. I mean, you can't get much more close for comfort than 4 rounds apiece now, you could say, but even still, it's we're yet to see a team really grab the game by the scruff of its neck.
You talk about that, though. It is 4-4, yes, but if you take a look at the scoreboard, it's like Pink Fluffy Unicorns, they won the pistol, they then converted the round, and they actually did win that bonus. But when all the guns and all the abilities are really at play, it feels like Legates are coming out on top.
Yeah, I agree. I think you've hit it spot on and hit the nail on the head completely. It looks like Legates are just one step ahead of them in terms of the full buy rounds at the moment when the full executes and U2 are available to play with. A lot of Valorant left, though, in this game. Breeze is a map that I've seen people be 12-0 up at the half, 11-1 up at the half at high-level play and lose the map in overtime. You know, it's really got that snowball and domino effect about it. But Chamfulma, he's pretty damn good with the operator, to say the least. But the curse of the commentator comes through as he is going to miss the first. Does dash his way out of trouble, though. But again, it's that mid-map presence. And even when they send Transformer there, the util comes out and it's forced him away. And once again, they're all over the middle of the map.
It's an important engagement to win out, and thankfully the Sova for Legates will reign supreme just against that pistol, which is on paper everything that you should be expecting. Ultimates are available for Pink Fluffy Unicorns, but in a round like this you can't expect them to be utilised. Legates, they're now heading all the way over towards A from middle.
Lear, though, lying in wait, being patient. Can he find any? One spotted. Can he swing or find the first? He can't. It's Kevo who's there to drop him. If Lear finds one, that's going to be the spike down instantaneously. Now all of a sudden it's up to Transformer. Only a classic and an operator to work with. Hass has got the Vandal. Surely got to save it with Sharky through to the next. There's all 5 are up here for the side of the gate. And are we finally going to start to see the first little bit of dent in the economy? Or can Sharky do something about it? He finds the first 2 already. Smile's going to fall eventually as well. Can Sharky find any more? There's one player, though, shifting up towards Tube. I think that Might be the Viper on the other side of things. Sharky finds one more. Sharky, hello, can you find any more? It's not the case as the right click comes through. Triple for Mini and 5th on the board finally for Legates.
So that got a lot closer comfort than that would seem, right? Sharky does, well, God's work really, and then some. Gets so many kills, and the gunfights were just being individualistic, 1 versus 1. Legates, they weren't grouping in an afterplant. They weren't willing to trade themselves out effectively, and it cost them a lot of guns. They've got credits available, sure, but it did not need to be that costly.
I mean, we mentioned, right, in Valorant, in terms of sometimes winning the round can feel like a round loss. And we've seen that so many times throughout this weekend where, okay, the team's actually won the round, but they've lost all 5 players in the once the spike's been detonated. And they're the ones that have got into the next round with no economy, and the team that have died have. So it's, or the team that's lost a round has, sorry. So it's really, really vital that these players stay alive even after the spike detonation comes through. Speaking of staying alive, Shark is going to try and do just that, but there we go, the overdrive out to play for Smile. He's so snappy right now, he's shooting onto his own players. Luckily no team damages and actually evoked in Valorant, but can he spot any more? There's going to be 3 players. He's got location on, make it all 4. He knows exactly where everyone is. That refresher, the ult needs to come through, and there it is. Now Transformer low does find a kill with the Marshall. Kevo's going to go ahead and instantly trade it back out. There goes Lear. Nugget finds the kill, 6 on the board.
I was wondering when the Neon of Smile was going to use this overdrive. Held it for so long, has had the ultimate for so many rounds, and it's clear there's a plan for Legates. They want to change pace. They want to throw caution to the wind in this round. And it's nice to throw just a different flavour in the mix. They've been taking middle so often, really slowing the rounds down and making Pink Fluffy Unicorns uncomfortable. And this time they just turn it all on its head. They add aggression. They have the overdrive in play. Gets the kills, using the momentum of the aggression, completely overwhelming B. King just has to rendezvous out immediately, and it just leaves the Viper high and dry.
Yeah, one thing that I've noticed as well is a bit of a change of pace from Legates. We saw them really focus towards the middle of the map, and we saw that rotation be forced in the positional change for the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns. But since then, we've seen a bit more of a traditional aggressive push on, split push on towards the side. Although it is going to be the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns. We find the first 2 in here, but not before one of the players from Legates can trade it straight back out. So for the defensive side of things, we have got the Tour de Force available. No Finleer also in the lockup. Yeah, I've got the Vipers pit in the back pocket too. However, that spike has already been planted. If Kevo can find a couple kills here and get that Vipers pit online for himself, they've got the Hunter's Fury available though as well for the afterplant here.
They've got a lot going on. Snakebite makes it a little bit more uncomfortable, but King will eliminate the Viper. Working their way in now. Lear will tap the spike, and the pop flash is absolutely perfect. But Nugget doubles up, and the wall is just going to fade as well. But King is sticking the bomb, accompanied by the cloud burst off the jet. Although there's some lovely shots being hit by Nugget, the defuse will fall favour to Pink Fluffy Unicorns.
Yeah, Nugget was so close to dropping Haas with the spray through the smoke as well. I think Haas ended up being, what, 20-odd, 30-odd HP at one point, so that's why I think you saw Transformer just stand in front of him and try and body block to keep him alive. But nevertheless, 5th on the board goes for the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns. And, well, as we head into what is going to be the final round of the half here between these two sides, I mean, not a lot to separate these two squads so far here, Brandon.
No, not quite, and it just feels like it's going to be a more reliable approach right now, but Pink Fluffy Unicorns are actually going to aggress in down towards this B position, trying to take the fight away from the gate, trying to make them feel uncomfortable in their aggression, but Smile doesn't care about any of that. Already pushing up towards Elbow. They've now got mid control. Tour de Force available and has been used.
And again, this is the change of pace that I talk about from Legates, you know, just when they've now forced the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns to rotate and play maybe triple stack of bombs, like is how aggressive they're getting. They take mid control, they're now going to flood through double doors, and they should take A site relatively easy. But that's not before one player is lying in wait as the Sova tries to tap, can't find any, although Haas is there to drop. Kevo is instantly traded back out, and the refrag comes through from Smile. But speaking of Haas, the Tour de Force really out in full force, but just like that, Smile, Nugget, they snap back for 2, and we're in a 2 versus 2.
Yeah, but Lear has spotted Smile, already has low HP, will win out of the gunfight with a headshot to secure it. And now Nugget is left isolated, all alone in towards middle. First step is to pick up the spike. but I'm pretty sure that position is completely known, although I say that Transformer is staring all the way in towards A main, and Lear's looking at the flank. Maybe they don't know about the position.
I don't think they know Spike's down, but now Transformer going to edge round the timing from Nugget onto both of these players is going to be minuscule and split second. Oh my god, Transformer's no longer pre-aiming. He spotted the barrel of Lear as well. I'm not too sure if he made some noise that when he fell down. This has gone awfully wrong here for the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns. Nugget needs to isolate one. He does. That's the kill. The Seeker's available. He's got to try and plant the spike. Plant the spike and you... What is going on? Why are you playing for the kill, Nugget? What are you doing? You plant the spike and you have the Seekers and it's a free kill.
Oh, so unfortunate. I think I kind of understand the logic, though. You heard the updraft of the Jet. You've already spotted the gun barrel of Lear. You know where both of those agents are. Isolated the first kill onto the Jet. Perfect. You know where Lear is. Time is ticking low. Pressure is mounting. Unfortunately, does not close it out. I agree with you, though. The spike should have been planted, and it's so unfortunate for Legates. They just fall at the final hurdle.
I think Lear actually popped a fragment down maybe as well onto where he was, so maybe that's why he couldn't stick it and had to swing out, or he would have died eventually anyway. But even still, though, Lear was in such a poor position when he was jumping through the top of the staircase and towards Switch. It should have been a relatively easy kill for the Sova to land, or not the Sova, the Sky to land. But we've got an even Steven 6 apiece game here for the start of the second half.
That works.
Trying to make it work. It will be the pistol. They're actually going to aggress all the way through towards Tubes. No, it's been used. That will just make sure that Chamber can't rendezvous out of there. Got to be so careful to get this down. Sharky with the wall that has actually just fallen, but King Has will just aggress all in over towards the Tubes. Maverick's going to fall. It's all the kills in the feed for Pink Fluffy Unicorn. Smile is on this flank. How much work can he realistically do with the Sheriff? Not going to be aware of the Sova. Actually does clear the angle. Getting a little bit scary now, potentially for Pink Fluffy Unicorns, but they will clean it up. King Has gets a hat trick of kills with the Ghost and manages to just survive.
Triple again. Name your more iconic duo than a 3K on an eco round for Haas. Honestly, the man knows how to do the work with the pistols, and that's going to be the 7th on the board for the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns here. But we saw this at the start, right? We saw them pick up 3, and then all of a sudden it was 3 back on the bounce for the side of Legates. So I don't think we can get too carried away just yet at the fact that they've won 3 in a row.
I agree with what you're saying, but how close these games have been, it's obviously just vitally important for Pink Fluffy Unicorns. So they pick up, again, the pistol, the conversion, potentially not the bonus. Let's not get too carried away, but that's still 5 rounds out of 6 that they convert, and it's every round matters in this engagement. King Has with the Marshal will eliminate Maverick on the other side.
Yeah, and I never really knew how good Haas was with the likes of an Operator or a Marshal. You know, usually he used to run the like of a Cypher, for example. He likes to play a bit more of a slower paced champ, or an agent, should I say, sorry. But the fact that they've got him running quite aggressively on the Chamber as well is a bit of a shock to me. But speaking of aggression and speaking of shocks, Transformer took a shock to the head there as it was Smile when the Sheriff bullet all up to the Sober, but Haas is going to find Smile. Kevo's there. Can the trade come through for Legates? It can't. All of a sudden, up to Nugget. He's going to drop. Lear finds 2, 8th on the board.
Yes, a conversion does come through. It's another round that has been picked up by the Pink Fluffy Unicorns. It feels like they're very good at those rounds, just kind of taking the fights. We're interesting to see, and it's an interesting point you bring up as well. King Has, he looks very strong at just almost just ego peaking, just flexing his confidence, his experience on the server, just feeling like he can do no wrong right now, playing so aggressive. Now that they are on the attacking side, taking the fight to Legates, that might be the key to their success.
I mean, for either side, I think the key to their success is to try and not make too many mistakes because of how close and tightly a fair this game is. I think if you have one team that starts to spiral a little bit, it's going to be hard to claw your way back into the game. But Kevo's going to find the first, finds the second. Transformer's there to trade, though. That's going to be a rifle into his hand. I think that's the Phantom as well. So no doubt Transformer's going to try and find a few more players. Bit of information, though, from the scout of the Sky. I think he spotted 2. There was the Jet, and as well, I think the Sova was spotted backside, but Legates has found another player. It's going to be Transformer who eventually falls. Smile somehow still alive, sliding all over the place, but in a 3 versus 2, Spike yet to go down. 1 minute to work with. If the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns can isolate a player here and die and not get traded out, this could be a round
Got to be careful because that player that could be isolated is the Sova. Has his missing shots with the Marshall, but it doesn't matter. The Sova of Pink Fluffy Unicorns will find Nugget, and most importantly keeps the spike on his back. Still a 2 versus 2. This is very scary, but Sova's doing no wrong. On such low HP, finds 3 kills, and it all leaves it up to Minch. But King has, with the Headhunter, will deliver the final blow.
Yeah, that's such solid play from the Sova as well towards the back of side to find, I think it was, what, 3 kills, if not definitely a double. Has to work with as well, and although Has doesn't find a kill, he does the damage with 101 to the body of any of those players he tags with the Marshall, so he can allow the Sova to just clean up free of charge. And I mean, as the 9th goes on the board now, the first break of economy really in the whole game thus far, and it's going to be Legates who are forced down to the Sheriffs and the Pistols. Not bad economy ult starting to build in the front of Pink Fluffy Unicorns as well. And for the side of the attackers, they know they're just a few rounds away from booking themselves a spot in that 4th spot.
Yeah, this one on paper just feels like it's almost a gimme. Smile with the overdrive though. We'll try and throw that into just contention, but it's only 1 with the ultimate. Unfortunately not to be. Maverick trying to peer on in with the Headhunter, but the miss just goes begging. Lear's now holding down the flank, but little do they know, all of the gates have rotated in towards defender's side spawn, trying to make their way over. Doesn't even matter. KO eliminates the Viper. And suddenly it just feels like it's all Pink Fluffy Unicorns.
Yeah, certainly dancing on rainbows to say the least as well. This could be the 10th on the board, but it is a round that you would expect Legates to lose really on the anti-eco. It's just whether or not the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns make any mistakes. But one person that the word mistakes doesn't exist in the vocabulary of is Lear. Honestly, one of the a real talented individual fragger, but he also plays fantastically well in a team front. I'm really impressed with Hasto so far on that chamber. He surprised me a little bit. I'm gonna have to have a word with him and make sure he's feeling okay and what he had for breakfast, because he's shooting fantastically well, in particular with the Headhunter as well. Look at the ults available though now for the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorn in comparison to the Legates. The economy not that great either for the defensive side.
It's just the Viper's Pit that could be deployed defensively. Might be used instantaneously, but the KO ult's been used as well as the Tour de Force, and in fact, it's just a faster round immediately, just completely bursting on towards this B bomb site. Chamformer making his way around, but Maverick will strike with the Operator, trying to get things done. Lear gets eliminated as well, no chance for a revival, and Smile was even picking up middle.
This is tough. This is real tough now that the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns have all fallen. But guess what? Smile gets caught with his pants down, tries to pop down the wall and somehow falls. The Viper's Pit available for the afterplant as well, should they want to try and retake the post-plant lineups here, though. However, for the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns, Hass is there with Nugget. Just ping the spike and spray. Is it being stuck? It isn't. It isn't. But somehow Hass finds him as well, I think, just on the outskirts of the ult. And they've seen Maverick. Hass should clean up shop, or at least Sharky's there to help him out. And there we go, 11th on the board, and that really should have been a straightforward retake for Legates.
I mean, the Tour de Force getting the kill on the spike creates a slow orb all around it, so when they try and fake out the defusal, they can't really go anywhere. And although the Headhunter does ring out and eliminate Hass, Sharky is there with the immediate trade. I thought there were going to be lineups. I was pointing at the minimap going, okay, potentially there could be snake bites being lined up as well, but Sharky comes in towards the window position and does clean up with the spray. But the Tour de Force got a lot more just kind of out of it than it really should have.
Yeah, I mean, we speak about, you know, high impact players on operators. Oh my god, look at the aggression from Smile into mid. He's going to find one, make it none, as Lear's there to trade, but it doesn't matter because Nugget finds the refrag. There's Hass, there's Lear. All the players from the side of the Legate seem to be dropping, but not if Maverick has anything to do with it. The third should come through. There's the triple. Looking for the quadra now is Lear, as it's all up to Kevo, and this should be what is going to see the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns advance on to map point.
Poison orb emitting.
That was a big poison orb from Kevo there.
That's nice. It just gets rid of the little trap,
yeah,
so they can walk on through. But the Sova's holding it off angle, and one click with the Vandal will seal Kevo's fate. And this looks so even. And then we move over to the attack for Pink Fluffy Unicorns, and it's been a complete shutout. not one round Legates has posted on the defensive side on Breeze.
And this is what happens when you've got just natural raw aim ability like Haas does and Lear does, for example. And when you've got the likes of the Sova or the Viper of Sharky and even just Chanformer, who's on a map like Breeze, you'll often sometimes see that your duelists and your fast-paced agents like the likes of a Jet or a Neon probably won't frag crazily heavily because they're just the ones that are creating the decoy on the map. But guess what? Smile, he's walked his way all the way down the middle of the map, finds the first, there's the second as well. So can Legates leave to see another day? Although Transformer finds the kill, the refrag comes through from Nugget. There goes Haas. It's all up to Sova in the 4 versus 1.
Hunter's Fury available, but I very much doubt he's going to kind of waste his ultimate there. Sova versus Sova engagement, but Spike and, more importantly, Pink Fluffy Unicorns' Sova, his position has been given up. You can already see that Kevo is on the flank with the Viper. Shock bolts are being deployed, and it's just going to make it a little bit more uncomfortable. Legates, they don't want to throw this one away. Nugget comes in, and it's a cleanup.
Yeah, I like the fact that Minnow does decide to wait for his teammate Nuggets before refacing, because a few shaky shots were had. No point trying to dry peek off no info and trying to ego chow and falling and then leaving yourself in a 3 versus 1. Wait for the player, find the kill, easy as you like. A lot of economy though left to burn here really for the side of Pink Fluffy Unicorns should they throw this one away. The ult's nearly back online as well. Sharky still got the Viper's Pit should they want to invest. It wouldn't surprise me if they try to invest this Viper's Pit this round. Where they want to go though, who knows? That Vipers will once again very aggressive towards mid. And guess what? They're going to be met with Smile. But Haas has countered it. He's the one who's now pushed out towards tunnels and found the opening pick.
Don't know if they're going to be ready for the elevation of the operator in Maverick. Certainly not can rendezvous away. In fact, he's just going to hang around. Going to try and make it work. Leah not really considering it, but immediately trades out. And I feel like this is the beginning of the end, John, as Leah just locks it in. It's a quick 3K for him, and Pink Fluffy Unicorns close out the game 13-7.
Yeah, at the end of there, I mean, Pink Fluffy Unicorns, they're a very good mix of a team, to be honest with you. It wouldn't surprise me if they're free agents still to just stick and try and play together as a squad, because they complement each other relatively well, to be totally honest with you. I think for the side of Legates though, they'll use it as a learning curve. I think there's a few mistakes that we saw on there that they'll probably watch back and think, okay, did we roll over a little bit? What could we have done differently? We didn't really set up on our sites too well. We let them dictate their attacking half. We didn't cause them too many probs, and then they'll learn from that.
Yeah, especially as just kind of you pointed out, you said the entire time about the mid control, and it's just really just so instrumental about how Pink Fluffy Unicorns just really dictated the play around middle. Yeah,
exactly. Well, look, that is going to conclude the group stages, though. We are now going to head into the best of 3s, which we have got coming up later on in the day. But I just want your closing thoughts, really, before we wrap up the best of 1 stages on what you thought of one of your first times jumping into Valorant.
Yeah, I mean, look, I had a really good time. Thank you for walking me through it, and very impressed with the individuals and how much they can really just swing a game. It's just crazy how literally you can have King Has just running around almost seamlessly, just kind of just finger snapping everywhere and just delivering quick and clean headshots. Really impressive stuff.
It's like that Thanos meme, right?
Yeah,
where it's like, I am inevitable or something like that. But guess what is inevitable? That's going to be the group stages coming up after this short break. Do not go anywhere, because we get into crunch time. We get into the serious business. It's bracket play. We'll be back with the official Beacon Circuit event here at EPIC36 in just a few short moments.